March 22, 2018, 1:54 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. March 22, 2018, 1:21 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. The former Panther might have been a favorite among Pitt fans, but not for AD Heather Lyke, who has a background in compliance. Watch NCAABNCAA Basketball with Fubo TV. Heather Lyke has been athletic director at the University of Pittsburgh for a little less than a year. Before this, she was athletic director 4 years at Eastern Michigan, and before that she was in compliance at Ohio State and Cincinnati, and that's why the search for the next Panthers basketball coach has become genuinely fascinating. Lyke might want to be the athletic director at Pitt for the rest of her career. If so, the decision about whom to hire would be somewhat vexing, but ultimately not difficult. More, new Pitt basketball could face trouble with recruiting. Lyke might want to be athletic director at another institution, or perhaps a conference commissioner or university administrator in another department. If so, the decision becomes complicated. She is hiring her next basketball coach even more so than she is hiring Pitt's. Panthers fans will live with the decision for a matter of years. It could be with her much longer, if she merely were hiring Pitt's coach. The easy choice now that Danny Hurley has decided to leave Rhode Island for Connecticut would be to call Arizona's Sean Miller and offer the job. That won't happen. The two already spoke. Given that Miller subsequently announced he is not a candidate, we can surmise an offer never was forthcoming. Miller's connection to former assistant coach Buck Richardson, arrested in September and charged by the Justice Department, undoubtedly complicates his circumstance both at Arizona and in the job market. This was exacerbated by a problematic ESPN report in February that alleged he had been caught in a wiretap discussing a six-figure payment regarding the recruitment of DeAndre Ayton. This is the primary reason Pitt fought so hard over the past week to convince Rhode Island's Danny Hurley that he should extend the 4 days he spent in the city during the NCAA tournament last weekend to many years as the Panthers coach. Hurley would have taken the complication out of the process. Great coach, great basketball name, no dalliance with the darker headlines that have plagued the sport since September. Pitt attempted to demonstrate to Hurley that Pitt's membership in the ACC, and its fairly reasonable expectations now that its program is in ruins, constitutes a better situation than Connecticut as a member of the AAC. With demands so high, the school just fired an all-time great player who won an NCAA title in 2014. There's a case to be made there, correct, but the only judge who mattered was Hurley. He chose UConn. Bender, Louisville's best coaching candidate, is Chris Mack, and no one else. Pitt's next logical choice would have been to swallow hard and offer the job to Miller, likely with some conditions on how past circumstances would affect his future in the position. Miller would have been a wildly popular hire among the wealthy boosters who helped the program run and the fans who turned away after Kevin Stallings was hired 2 years ago, with attendance falling to levels not seen since the Panthers were playing home games at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse. The downside risk of that move is mostly overstated in the public discourse. First, we have Miller's powerful public statement that ESPN aired in its reporting. Miller called the piece inaccurate, false and defamatory. After missing one game following its publication, he returned to coach the team to Pac-12 regular season and tournament championships and an NCAA tournament loss to Buffalo. Since September, Miller has not said a lot publicly, save for the aftermath of basketball games, most likely under advice of counsel. That Miller was willing to step in front of the cameras and put that on the record suggests he is coming from a stronger position than many suspect, as does the fact he has been backed by the U of A administration. Regardless of Miller's personal culpability, some of the activities alleged to have occurred involving the Arizona program that are presented in the charging documents against Richardson could be construed as NCAA violations, and the organization's current enforcement model can place responsibility upon the head coach even if he or she is not directly involved. The NCAA has not commenced any investigations at the request of the FBI, but if it were to do this, and if it were to reach a finding against Arizona men's basketball, it's possible there could be punishment against Miller. Precedent indicates it wouldn't be much more. Big East suggests 2 or none solution to one and done. Such coaches as Jim Calhoun, Jim Boeheim and Rick Pitino all were issued short-term suspensions. This would be not at all bothersome for most Pitt fans. Even in the unlikely event the penalty were to rise to the level of a show cause order, Miller would already be in the job. Pitt simply would have to go before the infractions committee and present a plan on how the program would remain in compliance during the period of the order. Hey, Pitt even has an AD with a wealth of experience in compliance. However, Pitt has an AD with a wealth of experience in compliance. It's apparent she wants no part of whatever might follow Miller from Arizona. Even more important, even if she could cope with that risk as Pitt athletic director, there are broader implications. Consider how frequently in higher education administrators have gotten ahead by standing up to coaches with unfavorable reputations. The late Miles Brand went from president of Indiana University to president of the NCAA after dismissing Bob Knight. Nancy Zimpher became chancellor of the State University of New York system after moving out Bob Huggins at Cincinnati. The ESPN report, for all that was missing, timeline, context, more precision regarding what supposedly was said between the two parties on the call, undoubtedly impacted Miller's reputation nationally. Before, most criticism of his work at Arizona consisted of the failure to reach the Final Four. That's still out there, but mostly in the background. Miller is one of Pitt's all-time great players, a native of Western Pennsylvania and, like Hurley, the son of a legendary high school coach. He is the most qualified candidate available to Pitt. He is not the ideal candidate for Heather Lyke, though. And that's how this works.